Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I work with a lot of individuals with attachment wounds. Today, I wanted to go over increasing romance with an avoidant. Now, I work a lot with avoidants specifically, but I also work with other attachment styles as well, and I work with couples. And so, what I notice is there's differences between how a lot of individuals, regardless of your attachment style, perceive romance. So, for this specific video, I'll kind of define what romance I'm talking about so that nobody gets confused. We're talking more about predictable love that's more consistent and subtle, and safe, more over grand gestures. So when I mean romance, I do mean physical connection, right? Kissing, hugging, whatever it may be, but I don't necessarily mean, proposing next to a fountain in this beautiful garden and everybody's watching and there's pictures everywhere. That's romantic as well, but I'm talking more about the everyday romance that comes with couples that typically are together for long term. Now, avoidants particularly have a very specific perspective and concept of love, and not all the time is that healthy. So why am I talking about that specifically? Because their concept of love can sometimes be a barrier for true love and connection. Because of how specific it is, it's actually set up subconsciously as a defense mechanism to avoid true romance and love. A lot of times they don't even realize they're doing it. Another reason they do it is because sometimes they just don't have a lot of experiences in love. So they think love is like very specific, that bedroom intimacy's got to be when they both really, really want it and it's so amazing and it's so pleasurable and so romantic, when that's just not how it goes. People have been in long-term relationships. It doesn't work like that all the time. Sometimes they just do it because they need to connect, right? But avoidant individuals do not understand that often. And so it can make some of these forms of connection very challenging because avoidance without them realizing it. And it's hard for avoidants to recognize that this is what it is because they perceive themselves very logical individuals, but they're actually quite emotional individuals. But they don't realize it's emotional. They think their emotions are logical. And that's because they lack a lot of self-awareness. And so if you're an avoidant individual, try to pay attention to sometimes when you're saying something and notice how it changes depending on your mood. Because you guys do that a lot. And then you will kind of recognize that maybe what you're saying isn't necessarily logical and it's emotional, and you might be sabotaging yourself. And that it's not fair for your partner because they can't understand what you're saying because it changes with your moods. And I'm going to talk about that more in this video, but that's something I really wanted to frame this video so that you guys know what I'm talking about, okay? And the other thing I wanted to mention is a lot of partners of avoidant individuals, they want to explore more romance with their partner. And this is more hugging, kissing, romance in the bedroom. They want that as well. And so a lot of individuals want romance. So we're going to go ahead and talk about how we can explore that and keep that in the relationship without it being so grand and over the top to the point where it's not going to last. And it can last, but it's just harder to. Now, I want to mention this before we jump in. I'm not saying to stay with somebody who mistreats you. I'm just saying that I believe couples can make a lot of changes to make the relationship more satisfying. I have never seen, and obviously I'm a therapist, so you got to understand that I'm biased in that regard. I've never really seen couples where they don't at least make some improvement if they're trying to and they want to and they're consistent in making it work. The relationship can improve, but I've never seen where it's just consistently happy all the time. There's always like dips, and then there's mountains, there's valleys, there's a little bit of change throughout the relationship. And the couples that really make it are the ones that can navigate that without taking it too personally to their partner, where they're not against each other, but they're against whatever issue that is. And that doesn't mean like that is regardless of your attachment style. And so that's something I want you to remember, okay? This video may be triggering for some of you guys. And so if it is, click off the video. It's okay. I'm not trying to harm anybody emotionally. I just want to help. So the very first aspect that increases romance with an avoidant is consistency. Avoidants like consistency, and so do individuals who are not avoidant. So I think this is, a win-win for everybody, hopefully. As you grow as a couple, there are usually areas where you'll have routine gestures built into connective activities. So When I observe couples that have been together for a long time, not all the time are they coming into my office just simply because of relationship issues. Couples therapy could simply be, one of us lost our job and we're trying to manage the stress that's about to come up. So that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. They're fine, but they need help navigating this new aspect in their life. Maybe the couple had a miscarriage. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are having issues with themselves. And so I do observe couples that have been together for a long time and they're happy. And what I notice about all of them, regardless of their attachment style, is the routine gestures they have. The built-in gestures in their routine that they have. So some of these examples are going to sound like a little bit like, an older generation, because a lot of these couples that have been together for like 40, 50 years, they're quite a bit older than me. So it's a little bit, different than what we would probably think of. But an example could be that one partner makes their partner tea every morning or coffee every morning, or they pack them a lunch. Those are gestures that are built in that makes them feel connected. Always feeling like, okay, I'm always going to get a sandwich from my partner for lunch. And I feel that connection. I know that that's always there for me. I never have to worry about that, right? It's safety, right? I know my partner's always going to open the door for me. That's safety for me. I know that when I come home from work, my partner is going to say, welcome home, and hug me, right? Nowadays, examples could be like going to the gym every Sunday morning together. I see that with couples a lot, right? This one is regardless of your generation. Good morning every morning. Hugging each other, kissing each other when they come back from work. That's a common one. But the reason why it's a little less common is because individuals who are quite a bit older, they had more, this is a little random, but I noticed that it's usually like a single income household, where nowadays it's more common where both are working. So one person might not even be home when the other one's working. So it might not be as consistent, but something that you can build into the relationship that creates connection. Another one, which is really common, and if avoidants are really, really triggered and they're really ready to exit the relationship, this might not be possible right away. But if you guys have a comfortable and happy relationship, just sleeping in the same bed every night is a version of this, right? And a lot of people don't recognize a lot of this is built into our framework that we perceive relationships, and it is for a reason. And these small things that we're talking about is romance, right? So if you're an avoidant individual, you guys are regimented folks, and I can appreciate that. Designate 1 or 2 days of your week, if you guys don't live together, to strongly and with no other obligations can override this, basically. This is always going to be in your schedule where you see your partner. You can see them more throughout, but just have 1 or 2 days just designated if you guys live close enough. Of course, change it as needed. Just an example where no matter what, you're going to see your partner. So your partner feels like you're never going to abandon them, because a lot of times you guys are with anxious individuals, so they know you're going to see them. You can see them more than that, but this day, you have nothing else ever planned that day specifically. Pick a day like Sunday night, whatever you want, Sunday morning or Saturday, whatever you want, pick that and stick to it, right? On the off days, always text your partner at least once a day, at least once. These are just examples, but these can help avoidance. You still have moments where you can decompress. You don't have to be 100% on all the time. You can have moments to yourself as well, but it means that you have to compromise and let your partner know that you're there consistently, because you guys want consistency, but so does your partner. And this will help your partner not to argue with you, honestly, because a lot of times when a partner is bringing something up and you're perceiving it as an argument, I'm sure that it is, it's because their needs are not getting met. And so if you can meet their needs a little bit, you don't have to give up all of your autonomy and all of your independence, but just giving a little bit, that can really help your partner to feel loved by you. And that's very important, right? So, the partner of an avoidant. Allow yourself to understand your partner's schedule and build time in for you to give them space. Let's say Mondays are really difficult, or maybe the end of the month, that they have to meet a certain quota or a sales or whatever it is. You know that this certain time they're going to be much more busy, and so you build that into your schedule and know, okay, during this time, this is probably not the best time for me to go ahead and pick, things that I'm upset about or text them multiple times about certain things, because I know they need this time to decompress. And if we fight, they're going to pull away from me. So I'm going to wait and think, can I process this myself? And of course, you don't have to be so specific or regimented, but try and be a little bit more cautious, because when you're bringing things to your partner that they're not ready for, all that's going to do is create more space between you guys, and you want to get close to each other. And so building this into your schedule will add consistency for them. They feel like, okay, I know my partner is going to give me this space. They're aware of me being stressed out, and I can trust them. And so I'm going to also give. Avoidant partners, they're all about safety. Once you provide them with safety, they're going to give safety as well. They're very cautious, and truly that's just the way they are. I wish it could go the other way around, and it can, but I usually think both of you guys just have to do it. Doesn't matter who goes first. You guys have to add some consistency to make the other one feel safe. That can build a lot of romance because there's that emotional trust, right? So that's really important. The next one, I guess I'm just going to call it communication. And so with avoidant individuals, I think a lot of you guys, sometimes you guys can use very extreme language. And I would really recommend that you refrain from using such extreme language. So let's talk about a topic that I hear a lot in my office that can become pretty extreme, and it doesn't have to be. Because what happens is if you use extreme language, you're actually going to trigger your partner more, and you're not going to get the boundary you're looking for anyways, at least not easily. So let's give a very common example. Marriage. An avoidant individual will say something along the lines of, I will never get married. I don't fall in love. I don't get attached. I don't want to get married. That's blunt. And, I appreciate the honesty, but it's a little extreme. And here's why. There is nobody in the world who knows the future. We can guess, we can make assumptions, but I don't think that's possible yet. I'm pretty sure it's not. It might never be. And so you're probably operating at least to some, percentage through your emotional insecurity to some extent, right? Or emotion in general. You're making these claims based off of emotions. While I understand that you don't want to get married, and maybe that will always be the case, and I get that you're trying to warn your partner so you don't hurt them. But what ends up happening is your partner is going to probably not respect it as much because you said it and you kind of triggered them the way you said it. There's a way to say things, and this is with both individuals. You can say something, like the words that you're saying, the meaning of it can change to some extent, or how it's taken by how you say it, right? And a lot of individuals who are insecurely attached don't understand that. You can say this differently. And we're going to give an example with a little bit of different words, but it will be softer, and your partner will be more likely to respect your boundaries. So here's a version of it. Every person is different. This may not work for everybody, but something like this, I see it work a lot in my office. What do you guys think? It'll be something like, I do not know if I ever want to get married, but that doesn't mean I don't like spending time with you. I appreciate you, and I want you to be in my life. It's possible someday I may want to get married. I don't know though. And I don't want to get your hopes up. Honestly, I'm saying this because I don't want you to wait around for me if it never happens. That's why I told you this, right? And that's all it is. And you as the partner, if that's good enough for you and you think, okay, maybe there is a possibility I can get married, maybe not, but I really love this person and I think we have good communication, and that's something you're willing to accept, maybe go ahead and make it work. I'll be honest with you. A lot of avoidant individuals say they never want to get married, and they do get married, and they're happy with it. It's probably something for another video, but remember what I always tell you guys. Avoidant individuals, when they're triggered, they speak through emotions, and sometimes they contradict themselves. Don't let that trigger you. I'm not saying cross their boundary, but just keep that in the back of your mind that maybe if they heal, some of these fears might decrease and they may be more willing to get married. Maybe not. I'm not telling you to wait around. I'm just telling you like it is, the reality, okay? So you as a partner, this is really important. It is basically, how do I describe this? I would say communicating your needs without expecting immediate change from your partner. And so a lot of when individuals, regardless of what you say, if the trust is not built, especially in the beginning years, they may be triggered and take things the wrong way. You may say, I would like if we could, I don't know, go on a date this weekend. They might say, I can't do that for you. You're pressuring me. I don't know if I want to, X, Y, and Z, just because they don't trust you. But don't take what they're saying entirely so extreme and think they don't like you. They never want to go on a date with you. It's not like that. Remember, avoidants operate very emotionally when they're triggered. And they don't think they do, which is why you don't think they do. But you're feeding into their wound. I'm not saying don't take them seriously, but take what they say a little bit with a grain of salt because you're just listening to the wound. A lot of times when avoidants calm down, they're much more willing to. Remember that avoidants are very sensitive to pressure, very sensitive. But once the pressure is off, they're more likely to lean in. So here's an example. I had a lot of fun at the park today. I know we have discussed that you're not a fan of hand-holding, but I was wondering about other forms of connection in public. Maybe putting your arm around me when sitting on a bench. Let me know your thoughts. Don't worry about me being upset. I won't be. I understand you. Right? Now, obviously, this would mean if you're not going to get upset. And I'm not telling you to hide your feelings. That's not what I'm saying at all. But when you're in a long-term relationship, sometimes you have to understand one another and where you guys are coming from. And I kind of painted this in a way where you guys are in a long-term relationship. And you're wanting your partner put your arm around you because a lot of times avoidants are much more comfortable being affectionate behind closed doors. They're shy. And so it's important to, if you want some more romance, bring it up slowly. Maybe it's been a year or two and you want a little bit more romance in public. Say it in a non-threatening way. You are more likely for your partner to understand. And even if they say no, that doesn't mean you give up on everything. Maybe just this particular one. Maybe you can try again another time when they trust you a little bit more. Relationships are dynamic. And what I notice is the couples that really make it work are the ones that don't give up with the small barriers. You guys can go and ask some people that you know who have been married for a long time. It is not easy. Compromise is made or adjusting. Sorry, I think people like the word adjusting better. Adjustments are important. And sometimes you're going to have to adjust in areas you never expected to. But I am never telling you to stay with somebody that makes you unhappy or mistreats you. You are welcome to leave. You should, right? But if you want to make it work, sometimes that means that you got to keep trying a little bit, okay? And I hope that you guys don't take that wrong. I really hope you don't. I'm sure someone will. That's okay. And so basically, individuals who are the partner of the avoidant, try and ask for romance more slowly because avoidants are not always aware of their needs for romance. And so this will prompt them. And as avoidants, focus on being more flexible and setting boundaries when it's too much. But when you're setting boundaries, don't say it so blunt and harsh. Say it more softer and more honest with how you're really feeling. Be vulnerable. Don't put up a wall because then you're going to trigger your partner, okay? And the last one is bedroom intimacy. So a lot of avoidant individuals, you guys do pull away in the bedroom after, once you guys are in a long-term relationship. I do want you guys to know that you're not flawed or broken if you suddenly don't want intimacy in the bedroom. It comes from a fear of vulnerability, but it doesn't feel like that. It kind of feels like you are feeling suffocated. You're feeling pressured. You don't know why you don't want it. You feel like you want to escape. You're uncomfortable, and you don't really know why. It's incredibly common for avoidants to feel this way. So don't be too hard on yourself. But I want you to remember something that's really important. You have to communicate that this is happening, but not have to, but it would be nice if you could communicate this is happening. And when you're communicating this to your partner, what will really help them to feel safe and secure is if you remind them and tell them that it's not them. It's you, right? You have wounds in this area, and it's not that you don't find your partner attractive. And honestly, if you could, I'm sure you would. But right now, you can't for your own barriers, which you're going to work through. And a lot of those barriers, once you're accepted, you'll probably be more likely to want it. So tell your partner it has nothing to do with them, and that honestly, if they maybe pressured you less or wasn't upset about it and they accepted you, that you will be more likely to introduce this back into the relationship, okay? And you can't really blame your partners for taking this. And I know you probably know this, but it's hard for partners to not take this particular aspect personally, right? But just remember to reassure them as much as you can. And for both of you guys, don't make this topic an area of discomfort in the relationship. Allow this to be an open topic. It is. You guys are a couple. People go through issues. At this point in your life, you guys might not be having much intimacy. But if you guys want to stay together for like 50, 60 years, it might be great later in life. And I'm not saying wait like 60 years. That's not what I'm saying. But this could be a very small time period in your long lifespan together. This could be only like a year or two of your entire journey. Whereas other couples, maybe they're having a lot of intimacy, but they have so much other issues, they might be together for only like 3 years. Look at the potential, not the potential, but the hope that you want to make this relationship work. If you really believe that you two can make it, I can't decide that for you. If you want to walk out, you can, but both of you guys understand that nothing is 100% permanent, including bad things in your relationship. You guys can make it work if it's meant to be, okay? I can't determine that though. And for your partner, the partner of the avoidant, pressure about bedroom intimacy is unfortunately one of the biggest triggers for bedroom intimacy. So it's really important to recognize the drop-off for intimacy has nothing to do with you. It's very important to communicate that you notice there's a drop-off and that you believe, whatever your term is, you believe that it's their attachment issue, their commitment issue, whatever language that you think will land well. And don't say it in a harsh way. Say it in a way that you care. I know you're not doing this on purpose. Sometimes, it does bother me that we don't have intimacy as much as we used to. And it's something that I really want. But I know it's not, if you could, you would. I know it's your commitment issues or whatever your term is. And let them know it's something you want and that you understand that pressure will make it less likely. Express it's something you would like and hope that one day it's possible again. And of course, you're saying that in a way to invite them in. It's kind of like leaving the door a little bit open, right? The cracks open just a little bit. And when the avoidant feels safe, they're going to connect with you again. This one's a really tricky one. But if I didn't tell you the truth of it, I would be lying to you. This is very common. And honestly, the very truth of it is, if you don't pressure and make the conversation a comfortable one, not a negative space, it's much more likely to be reintroduced into the relationship. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.